We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us red. What's that coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. To fight back, it's an all-out attack.
Good evening, welcome along to NUFC Matters. Geordies here, Geordies there on a Wednesday night with Mitch, Magnus, Stu, Alolead and George, and we've got you for company for the next 60 minutes. And as always, halfway through the week, we look back on the weekend's game, Mitch, and another win for Newcastle United, 2-1, which the dice predicted, I think, or was it you?
Yes.
I can't remember. One of
the dice.
It was the dice, yes.
No, I went with the dice, yeah.
And you went with the dice, so I went 2-0. I remember that. But yeah, a win. Again, lots of our fans who would twist on 21, not very happy about this and about that and about the other. But we're sitting third place in the league after that, and ultimately could go top at the weekend.
Absolutely. And when you look at the game as a whole, yes, we weren't at our best. There's a lot more to come. And yet here we are, unbeaten so far this season, getting better game by game, with more in the tank. Is it any wonder the Times are already writing stories about MI6 getting involved in our takeover? Or Newcastle back in the top 4 by any chance? You know, or we're threatening the status quo again, most definitely. Not bad for a ship that's supposed to be rudderless. I think it's testimony to the squad pulling together with the manager and getting everybody together in the squad. I think his changes on half-time were brave, and I think he's got to be given credit for that. That's not something that Eddie Howe does very often. I think his hand was forced a little bit. I gather they just couldn't stop the bleeding from Isaac's nose, apparently. And so he had to make a choice. And I think it was brave to do it. He doesn't do that very often. For the first time, I think, possibly in an Eddie Howe game, I think we maximised the contribution of our substitutes. Absolutely maximised it. But also everybody on the pitch give it their all. I know you gave Hall man of the match and got some stick for it. I was saying to somebody today, look, A, it's about opinions. B, he's at the game. He sees things that you don't see on the telly. That I'm sat, 3,500 miles away. There's things you'll have seen that I won't have seen. But I thought Hall was brave to carry on the way he did. We were out the substitutes. He was obviously cramping badly. And give you an idea how bad that would be, one of the NFL stars, George Kittle, tight end for the 49ers, was carried off the pitch on a bloody golf cart thing at the weekend. And everybody was worried, oh my gosh, how many weeks is he going to be out? He had cramp. And that's how bad it would be. And Lewis Hall played through that. And he was out on his feet the last 5 minutes of that game when he went the ridiculous amount of added on time that the referee managed to find. 2 wonderful goals to win the game. An absolute, another battling performance. And there's definitely something in this squad's been resurrected that was missing last year. And it's another game that you could possibly be making an argument that last season we might not have come back from that. So there's lots of positives to look for. And again, I come back to where I started, and a hell of a lot more in the tank. We can play a hell of a lot better than that for longer periods of the game. And I think, again, unsung hero out of that coming on, Willock. We see how much better we are from midfield linking into attack when Joe Willock is there. He just wreaks havoc. He managed to find the seams where defenders aren't. He manages to upset defenders with some of the runs that he makes. I thought Tonali contributed well as well when he come on. And I genuinely, I'm buoyed and positive for going forward because we're going to get hold of somebody. If we really click like we know we can and add that to what we've already shown, somebody's going to get an absolute bloody hiding off us.
Magnus, Newcastle, as I said, could go top this weekend, and of course the week after, if say Man City and Arsenal draw on Sunday, the week after Newcastle have got a chance of extending the league at the lead at the top of the Premier League by beating Man City. So everything in the garden is rosy. That was a good hard-earned result away from home on Sunday.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, and it was lovely to see the team go out of the blocks like madmen in the first 20 minutes, and I am seeing improvement every game. I agree with what Mitch said about Joe Willock, man. What a great entry to the game that was. I read somewhere that he had more chances created than anybody in the league, and he only played 45 minutes. I think he's totally earned himself a place in the team. The midfield in first half didn't have the best game, but I'm not going to focus on that. We got the win, and what a great goals, man. We get this every week. Fabio Chiar, what a player he is, man. I can't get enough of saying it. What a player he is, and he's really. It feels like he's maybe even stepped it up after all this shenanigans in the transfer window, and possibly somebody coming to turn him over or being sort of the next in line, taking his place. So while the game and all, I enjoyed the game. It went a little bit down after the first goal, but impressed with the substitutions. Very good to see Eddie Howe making substitutions 2 or even 3 at halftime if things aren't working. This I haven't seen an awful lot in the past. I know one of the substitutions were forced. But I'm very excited that we have a possibility of reaching the first spot. Long may it continue. And this is where I feel like we've always belonged. Only we couldn't make it happen with the past and the owners and the tough times that we've been through. Long may it continue. I feel like we're back where we belong, and let's fight to keep it that way and take that. I'm still sticking with my forecast of the 4th place, but the longer we stay up there and tease those guys, who knows? Let's give them a battle.
Good stuff. Stu, didn't get you 3-1. We've got a 2-1, and it's 3 more valuable points on Newcastle's total, and a great start of the season.
Yeah, definitely. It was nearly a 3-1, but it was also nearly a 2-2, wasn't it? So we'll take the 3 points. Thank you very much. And I just want to point everyone back to last December, January, when we really were getting a player injured every single game. And Eddie Howe maintained in his press conferences, and he was bemoaning his lack of a bench, like the game change, as he called it. And he was accused of giving excuses by certain sections of the fan base. Where are those naysayers now? Because he's got a quality bench and he can make the changes. And there was a stat that's been doing the rounds. I think Spenny might have mentioned it on the fans forum on Monday. Was how many points he's accumulated since Eddie Howe's been in charge, and considering he took control of a team that was second bottom of the league with a really poor squad, and didn't have the depth that other teams have. They didn't have the Champions League or the wage bill or the amount of money spent on the squad. So I think what he's done should never be underestimated. But going back to the match, there was many players you could say they were fantastic. There was a few players you could say they were underperforming, but that's the whole idea of having a quality squad. If you recall this period I was just talking about there was 3 in midfield, which was Bruno, O'Malley and Longstaff, and that was it. You know, it was like an Olympic, and they had to last the 90 minutes. And now they can make changes. You can see things and say, right, now I can make the impact. And for me, he's showing his quality. But the man in the match for me was Pope. I think what he does, apart from his fantastic saves, he gives the defence that reassurance that they crave, and they look more comfortable with him behind them. Even though we're not comfortable when he's got to kick the ball out or he's got to clear the ball, he does allow them to push that bit more further forward, which congests the midfield, which does help us in a way. They're still finding the feet. It's been a stop-start. Start the season for everyone due to the late Euros and everything else. And it's not just Newcastle that haven't hit the strides yet, but if we haven't hit the strides and we're sitting third, then I'll take that every day of the week. So well done to everyone involved, and long may it continue.
Al-Walid, your thoughts on the win at the weekend?
I see it. I see Newcastle now is more mature, and the results of the last games. It's so close game. I like this, and I like the players. The same for me. They stand for themselves and for Eddie Howe, and some kind of challenging the new director that Eddie Howe defend them, and he said he proud of the players he have. So I'm happy to see this. I wish to beat City and Liverpool this season. I said the team is mature, but for me it's still not enough. But I think when they care more now, they're caring more about the results. So this is a good thing for me.
George, we heard from you on Monday, but it's always quite raw a day after the game. But, any more comments to make before we?
Yeah, and it's good. It's a change to be last. Some of the other comments, and haven't seen some of the different angles on the game. Some of the football leading up to both the goals was outstanding. The only way to describe it. And I agreed with you on the other day that Paul was man of the match. I still agree with you, but Shaw very close behind. When he's on form, he's a Rolls Royce. I mean, nobody would believe £3 million for that man. He's absolutely out of this world. And I don't think I and others give Nick Pope the praise he deserved for that match, because 2 of the saves were world class. And somebody on the strap was asking, did we see the difference between him and Dubravka? Yes, we did. Pope's strong hands made the saves. Dubravka's crisp packet hands would have let them in. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, they're the additions I would make. The other is listening to the so-called professional commentators like Simon Jordan and Martin Keown on Talk Sport talking about it. It was just interesting to see them get into an argument with Simon Jordan wanting to beef up the argument between Howe and Mitchell, and Martin Keown playing it down and saying Eddie Howe was absolutely right to protect his players that come into the club. That it wasn't about that, and I thought Keown spoke a lot of sense, the sort of sense I was glad to hear somebody speak. And you would be disappointed if I didn't go at the elephant in the room. All of this goes on, and we've yet to have a word from our chief executive. End of story.
Yes, and the story. Just want to say congratulations to the guys involved in Murphy's fundraiser for Teenage Cancer Trust. I know Ian is in the chat today, and if I remember rightly, he came onto a fans forum a couple of weeks ago, and we managed to get them over the £1,000 mark. They raised £1,573 for Murphy's fundraiser, and it was to do a skydive. And we've got the video. So well done, great stuff. Brilliant. And well done to Ian as well for shaving his head off, which helped get a few more quid through the doors. But
shaving his head off.
Shaved his hair off. Yeah, and it was good to see. Good to see that it helped raise over 1,500 quid. So great stuff, and thanks for bringing that to our attention, Ian. Get well soon as well. He's still in the chat, driving his last mile, I think, at home. Just want to show you this as well from Sky, lads, and most points for football managers, football teams. And this is since Eddie Howe was appointed at Newcastle in November 2021. Newcastle lying fourth in that table, level pegging with Spurs. But that's some achievement, Mitch, really. And, you know, I do see a lot of these comments where, you know, people saying it's time for a change. Eddie Howe's had his time now, and they wouldn't be so sorry to see him leave, etc. But you know what? Ultimately, for me, Eddie Howe is still so important to Newcastle's, you know, progression.
It shows how absolutely ridiculous that Great Escape season was. You know, you think about the form we were in. If you'd stretched that across the full season, I think would have been more in the title. You know, and so it's testimony to the hard work that he's put in with everybody he's worked with during his time at the club. And you could say that's one of the reasons why he got very defensive about his players and the people he's signed, even though to not go over gold ground too much, I still don't think that Mitchell was having a dig at the people that were signed in Eddie Howe. I think it was more at Ashworth and the whole process of ins and particularly outs and lack of outs, which is one of the reasons we've been hindered with PSR. And so you look at that points tally since Howe's appointment, and it feels like he's earned every single point. You know, they've all been hard fought for. I don't think there's any flukiness in there. And even last season, bedraggled with injuries, and we still managed to get it up there, you know, to seventh and miss out, unfortunately, on Europe by cup results. And I think, you know, it's testimony to what Howe has done and why he deserves a good run at it this season, come what may.
Yeah, Magnus, The stats are superb for Eddie Howe. One of our best managers statistically in the history of the club. Certainly going towards that now, but just needs a trophy, I guess, really to cement his legend at the club. But that's some record, and that's a great points tally so far.
It's absolutely fantastic. Being in the company of these clubs that we are in is no coincidence. I've always thought very, very highly of Eddie Howe, and I still do. And I remember saying it on the first ever show that I was on. I want him to stay for a very long time with the club. I'm talking, at least a decade. And that's how I really feel about him. Every time he speaks with a total respect to everybody, and he doesn't lose his head, even though the questions are sometimes constantly repeated and about matters that don't involve him. I am really impressed with his personality and the way he behaves both on the sideline. He is a role model. We have kids watching. I never heard him ever curse. And I really, really rate that guy. And long may it continue. I know I've said it before. And the numbers don't lie. And I am seeing him. If we just stay patient, every club goes through a little bit of a challenging time. Last season was very challenging for us, very difficult. But maybe Lady Luck, and it looks like Lady Luck is a little bit smiling at us, and I am seeing improvements every game. This record of Eddie Howe is amazing, and long may it continue. I would not want to see anybody else even mentioned for the job for a very long time.
Yeah. Stu, great stats then.
Absolutely. I'll keep this short and sweet, Steve, because I think everyone knows I'm a huge advocate of Eddie Howe and his body of work. For me, he's the most important person that is employed by the club. Everyone else is irreplaceable. And I believe what he's achieved makes him irreplaceable. And I hope that the hierarchy appreciate that and give him the tools that he needs to make us even better.
Yeah, same question to you, Al Walid. Those statistics for Eddie Howe, they are, they're almost perfect.
Of course, if you didn't want to be biased to someone or judge and bashing, the numbers is the fair answer, and I'm not surprised. Just for me, I'm not questioning Eddie Howe. I'm happy with Eddie Howe, but I want better players every single week.
Okay, George, statistically,
Yeah.
Eddie Howe, one of the best managers in our time, and you've seen them all.
Well, you can't. There's so much about Eddie Howe that you want to talk about, that I would want to talk about as somebody that's been interested in football for all the years. I want to forget all the new signings already. Remember what else he did. There are 9 players in that squad who suffered 2 years of Bruce ball and came out the other end after Eddie Howe had them for a while as even better players. How much is Fabian Schär worth now? How much is Joe Linton worth now? How much is Murphy worth now? Yes, he's had some tough games, but he's still a talented player who went under Bruce would hardly get in the team. Look at the Longstaff as well. They all improved enormously because of Eddie Howe. So I appreciate that as much as all the other things he's doing. And I'm glad Magnus raised the fact that he's so solid, so straightforward. Yes, he shows when he's a bit angry, but he does it in a common sense, well-reasoned way that's difficult to argue against. And they can all say what they like. He always has an answer now. And you remember when we first started, he had to sit there and answer all those dreadful geopolitical questions he shouldn't have been answering, but he did it with dignity. And he's kept our club with dignity, and I think that's very, very important. And the last thing is a personal thing. I want to thank my friend for my shirt. I promised to wear it, and I'm wearing it.
That's brilliant, man. Show us better.
Can we see it, George?
Yeah.
You haven't got budgie smugglers on, George, before you stand up, have you?
That's
Wow.
next. That's next.
Excellent
See, it's
stuff.
more
Man,
George
I really like that.
George on it. And it's
Great stuff.
I happened to say when I was talking to somebody when I seen the thing that I liked it, and the next thing I knew there was an order coming through the post. So thank you very much. I won't embarrass the person by mentioning their name, but I'm very grateful.
Looks like you'll be set for a game of darts, George, as well. It looks like a darts top.
Well, it does, but it's very Newcastle United. There's no doubt about that. Because the back's the same as the front. I wouldn't be wearing it if it wasn't. I wouldn't be wearing it if it wasn't.
We'll wait until the budgie smugglers arrive, George. That'll be the crowning moment. All right,
Well,
we've got the
just hang on for 10 minutes. You might get a surprise.
Okay, before it goes down a dark alleyway, this program will go to the ads. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102 or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Thanks to our NUFC Matters fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. Travel and Tourism Award winners 2024. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. All excursions included, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, a 2-crew driver and courier. It's a local family company, and you can find them at www.unitedgrouptravel.com or telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And if you want to help support the channel, hit the subscribe button. We do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up under the video. That's the like button. It does help us grow. And click the share button. Help share to your social media. If you want to join the channel for as little as $1.99 a month, then hit the join button under this video today. We also help the food bank on this channel. Visit nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. It takes you to the match day bucket where you can donate some money virtually. Some events for your diary in aid of Dementia Matters. The Longstaff will be reforming and be supported by Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band at the Cluny in Newcastle on Saturday, January the 4th, 2025. Tickets are £15 pre-sale from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with Peter Beardsley takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 10th of January 2025. Tickets available from newcastlelegends.com or from Woucher. And an evening with the Entertainers takes place on the 24th of January 2025. Telephone the box office 0844 249 1000 or visit the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And the Magpie Lounge at Gateshead Leisure Centre is now open. 7 talk-ins for £99. Joe Allen will be hosting talk-ins with Lee Clark, John Anderson, Steve Howie, Darren Peacock, Supermac, Steve Watson, John Beresford, all between the dates of January and July. £99 for 7 talk-ins, newcastlelegends.com. And don't forget, you can subscribe to our NUFC Matters fanzine, £20 for 4 issues with all proceeds going to Dementia Matters. If you live overseas, it is £50 for 4 issues. To order now, go to newcastlelegends.com. Thanks to everybody who subscribed to the fanzine, up to 150 of you now. Newcastlelegends.com, just 50 more copies to shift. It is away to the printers, so you have got time to get your order in before issue 1 comes out. A question for the expats from Mark Byers. He says it's not a football question particularly. He says, but The other lads can answer too. Which one song reminds you of home and makes you miss Newcastle when you're away from it, Mitch? Tunnel of Love for Mark. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
You could go with a number of Mark Knopfler or Dire Straits ones for me. The one that sort of does a bit of both, but also gets us a bit more sort of up on match days. The YI man, the one that was used in was it Outfitters in Pet 2 or 3? Can't remember which one it was. That one. Anything by Sam Fender as well, because obviously I know Jamie very well, and was lucky enough to see Sam when he was a kid with a guitar, trying to persuade pubs to let him playing them with no shields. And I still find it amazing that I can hear his music used on adverts over here. And it's my mate's nephew. that sort of blows my mind a little bit, and also makes us want to be back home. And also the theme from Local Hero, back to more Mark Knopfler. You hear that. And we use a lot of these songs in the match day build up with the Dubai Mags. We've got like a playlist that we can just plug in at any time, and we use it in the build up to each game and try and time it to get the music right, so we can get flags going at the right time and things like that.
All right, Magnus, which song reminds you of Newcastle?
Yeah, I should maybe just mention this because I'm working pretty hard on a new fan song with the club over here. I mean, this is I didn't even realize till recently that the Blatant Races was a song from the 1860s that is completely from Newcastle. However, it has been an atmosphere song and rewritten over here with 3 different bands. So Blatant Races, we are rewriting the lyrics to make it more black and white and all in Icelandic, so everybody can sing along with it. But my upbringing, I'm raised by a musician, so Dire Straits was a huge part of my childhood. So I feel very much also that Sultans of Swing is one of my favorite sort of connected songs to Newcastle. And I mean, there's obviously the Thunderstruck and if I was to say a song over here, I mean, there's a song that was sang in the funeral of my oldest son, and it's called "I Have Arrived Back Home." And this song means a lot to me, and it's being sang every time Icelandic national team plays. And that is a song that takes me back home here to Iceland. But for me, if I have to pick one song, it's going to be Blatant Races, because I am rewriting it to make an atmosphere song for our club over here.
Okay, Stu?
Well, there's one song that stood out for me as soon as the question was asked, and that was "You've Got to Fight for Your Right" by Cheryl Cole. No, I'm only joking.
Fight for your right to party in 2020.
That was the Beastie Boys, wasn't it? The first song that sprung to mind, and when I'm thinking of Newcastle, I think of the match, is definitely Local Hero. It does give you that shivers down your spine. But the medley or the playlist that Mitch referred to, that the Dubai Mags play every game, the one that really, believe it or not, makes me be quiet and I just stop and listen and reminisce for a bit is Coming Home. I'm Coming Home, Newcastle. But obviously the Blade Races, wherever you are, it's something that's iconic. All 3 of them are iconic, but those are the 3 that would be my choice in no particular order.
Alwaleed, is there a particular song that makes you think of Newcastle?
Of course, a lot of songs, but I believe I have like 4 favorites. It's of course bladder races, and especially at the beginning, using the matches, and Take Me Home, Take Me to the River Tyne, by the singer friend in Newcastle, and
Junior Turner. Yeah.
Junior Turner. Yes, Junior Turner. And also I like Coming Home Newcastle by rest in peace Busker. Yeah. And of course NFC Matters theme. I always like it, and remember me of Newcastle, and some also of Martin Bailey songs. He have good stuff about Newcastle.
Good stuff. George, you got a particular favourite?
Yes, I mean you can hardly get past Bladen Races, but Local Hero then sits top of my list. Big River by Jimmy Nail's another one, and then an off the wall one is Field of Corn by Sting, because that Field of Corn I can see from my house. It's got houses built on it at the moment, but I know exactly where that field was and what he was singing about. So that has a special thing just for me. But like the others, Local Hero takes a beating if you leave Bladen Races behind, and then Big River, because of my professional connections with the river.
Dean, I agree with you. Harry Palmer has to be mentioned. Anyone who comes out with the immortal line, slap your lass with a Christmas tree in a football song is it was a bit unhinged at the time, but it's become memorable. The Coming Home Newcastle, of course, fantastic, and anything by Knopfler. So I would agree. Another excuse me. Another question that we've got in is from Tom. He said, would you be happy if Sean Longstaff gets a new deal at Newcastle? Mitch?
Yes. I think he's not going to start every game, or he shouldn't, when everybody's fit and available. However, he showed against Forest by taking the winning penalty that he's got the balls and the metal and the temperament to have around that squad. He put some miles in last season when he was carrying an injury himself. Still not sure why they then let him play bloody cricket on it in the close season, but that's another matter. But I don't get the massive anti-Sean Longstaff rhetoric that comes from certain parts of the fan base. It's like we've got to have somebody to scapegoat. It's his turn at the minute. We'll find another left back to have a go at soon. I think Matt Targett's had a little bit, and he's not even really kicked the ball for months and months and months, you know. But I do think that Longstaff's done enough to earn a contract extension, and he seems to be a vital part of Eddie's plans in terms of squad depth.
Okay, Sean Longstaff, would you give him an extension to his contract, Magnus?
The quick answer is yes. But we are aiming for Europe again, and we're going to have to always fulfill the minimum quota of homegrown players, grown by the club. If I may add something to the last subject, we just started our own podcast, and the intro is Thunderstruck, and the outro was Sultans of Swing. So, we wanted to be connected with the club and the area, especially. Now, with Longstaff, the season before last season was absolutely fantastic. I think he covered more kilometers than absolutely everybody in the team. And he's a workhorse. He's a local boy. I rate him highly. I feel maybe right now he could do with a rest, because I don't want to push him too hard after the season that he had last season. Right now, I feel like maybe he could do with a rest if Willock is fit enough to start. I want him to stay. I would extend the contract happily, because he's never really failed us. I mean, there are players ahead of him in the pecking order, I would say. So if he's willing to stay and everybody is happy with his role, maybe as a squad player, then I don't see why we shouldn't extend the contract with him. That's how I feel.
Stu, same question to you.
Well, he hasn't got the style, panache, the talent, the ability, the looks, the suaveness or whatever of some of the other players in the squad, but for me, he's deserving of a new contract. And there's many components that will make this team great. And for me, he's a fantastic squad player, ignoring the PSR and FFP. And yes, we can get a fee for him if we give him a new contract. But I wouldn't say he's an integral part of the team, but he's a huge part of the squad. And I think he's be one of those that, if using the cricket analogy that Mitch referred to earlier, he'd happily carry his bat and be part of the squad and accept he's not going to be playing every single week once everyone's in full stride. So for me, I don't see the debate, and it does annoy us when someone has to be singled out. And is it because he's a local lad? Is it because he's not flamboyant? I don't know. Yeah, he makes mistakes, but if we look at his co-midfielders this season, apart from Joe Linton in the first game, I don't think you can see any of the midfielders that have started the games have been outstanding. Yet he seems to take most of the flack. And the way I see it is Eddie Howe sees them every single day. We see them for 90 minutes or 90 plus minutes at the weekend, and he rates them. And I think it's common sense, if anything, to give him a new contract.
Alwaleed, what would you do? Give Sean Longstaff an extension, maybe a 1-year extension?
Well, for me, I like the player. No question for that. But the question is, it's sure, it's definitely not we need to. Is it we have to or we want to? And for me, if we want to improve, we need to get better players.
Okay, George, Sean Longstaff, new contract.
Yes, he's earned it. He the way he dealt with things last year when sometimes he shouldn't have been playing and he was taking injections to do so. And there's I always favour a bit of localness in the squad. And if you want somebody local who would die for the team, who would die for Eddie Howe, I suspect, then Sean Longstaff's your man. And the one thing I like about him, and I suspect I could be wrong, but I suspect Eddie Howe likes about him is he's the one midfielder, including Bruno and Joe Linton. At the moment, they haven't played very well either. At the moment, he's the one player, I think, midfield player, when he gets the ball, you know he's going to make a positive move. You know he's going to go forward. He's not going to go sideways or backwards. He's going to go forward. And you need something like that in the squad and in the team. So at the moment, he's earned a contract. Alwaleed's right. We're still in the area of where we need to improve. But at the moment, he deserves to be in our squad, and therefore deserves another contract.
Okay, interesting stuff. Yeah, I would give him a 1-year extension. I mean, a lot of people saying there's lots of midfielders. The club might need to come back in, no room for sentiment, but we do need local players, as George has quite rightly pointed out. Okay, Sutty, good evening. He says, based on Barnes' form, would you start him or use him as an impact sub? I'm on the fence, but feeling more inclined to use him as a sub purely because it means it will manage his injuries better. Interesting this. I mean, this debate, let's widen it a little, Mitch. It's that midfield situation. What do you do at the weekend? If you're Eddie Howe, you've got a great problem to have. You've got too many players to fit into those positions, but you've got a couple of players who've really taken that chance when they've come on. So, do you start them next weekend or not? Barnes and Tonali, do you start them next weekend, or are we going to go with more of the same?
I would play them both. I think there comes a time where you've got to ride the hot hand. Who's in form? Who's delivering? Who looks like they're doing the business on the pitch? And there's got to come a time where you've got as the player to be not satisfied as being an impact sub. And so he deserves a chance. I think, you know, he's made a difference for me every time he's come on. The question we then have to decide is, who do we disrupt then? I presume Isaac's going to be fit for the weekend, so do we play Barnes on the right, where we know he's not as comfortable? He prefers to be on the left, but so does Gordon. And my take on that would be you play them both and you let them swap and let them wreak havoc and take it in turns to have a go at the full-backs alternatively and see what damage they can do that way. That would be my way to manage it. But certainly I think in these situations when you've got players in form, you've got to let the hot hand run. So again, same with Tonali. He brought something a little different into that midfield. And his movement and little nudge pass that set Shaw up to have the opportunity for the shot that he scored from, I think went very unnoticed.
Yeah.
And I think other players maybe would not have made that made that ball possible. So again, he did some good work. The challenge for Eddie with Tonali was he played 2 games for Italy. What if he'd started him and after 25 minutes his calf went and everybody would have been, he started him 4 because he's had 2 good games and he's not played for over a year and So he cannot win. You know, he cannot win. There'll be somebody complaining about something somewhere, no matter what he does. But I think again for me, the difference they made, I think that then brings another midfield conundrum. Who do you sit in midfield if you're going to start Tonali? Do you want to get Willock into that side as well? So then, who are the 2 that come out of midfield from Bruno, Longstaff and Joe Linton? And like you say, that's what the manager's paid to do. And isn't it just wonderful to have these discussions talking about a depth and a wealth of strength in the squad? And which exciting players are we going to start and which exciting players are we going to disappoint by leaving them out?
Yeah, Magnus, nice problems to have. What would you do if you were Eddie Howe?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say the same thing as Mitch was saying. You know, isn't it wonderful that we're in top fight and we are debating about who should start? You know, last year it was kind of auto-picked, you know, most of the time, you know,
but he still has 2 legs.
Yeah, you still have 2 legs, and sometimes you know, like you were saying, you know, sometimes I feel like when I see a team that somebody else picked, I'm just straight away thinking, well, what could I have done something different? So you know, it's in our nature to disagree and not always be on the same page when it comes to the team. I think he should start. You know. I don't see anybody else knocking on the door. Maybe Almiron winning Brazil should not be going unmentioned. But that's a huge accomplishment for a country like Paraguay. So, I mean, surely he's a great shout to be on the bench, I guess. But those 2 are on form. Gordon, we've seen better performances from him, but like we've been speaking about, he hasn't had a day off for 2 years. I'm really not criticizing him. This is all coming together, and we have choices. You know, I love to have choices. You know, and like this is actually quite exciting when we are expecting the team sheet for every game. I think Tonali is also in with a shout. I mean, Willock should be in with a shout. Trippier should be in with a shout, and even Kelly. So, you know, there's plenty of good quality there, which makes me very optimistic for this season. We haven't even hit the heights yet, and we're still collecting the points, you know. What a great time. I'm expecting a good season. For me, I would start the 3 of them. If Isak isn't fit, I would start up front Gordon, Osula, and then obviously who were we speaking about again? Harry Barnes. Sorry about that.
Okay, Stu, what's your thoughts? It's an interesting and a nice problem to have.
It's a great problem to have, and I think what has been shown this season more than any other, that it's going to be 15, 16 players that make the result, not just 11, with maybe one change in that's been enforced. But that doesn't sit right with the fickleness of some of the fan base, where Gordon was the best player ever, and now everyone wants him replaced. And you have to understand that with Eddie Howe's loyalty, but his first duty of care is to protect the players. And imagine he threw Willock straight in. Imagine he throws Barnes in, and they get injured again. Then we're not back to square one, but we're putting ourselves backward. He'll manage the minutes of the players. And for me at the moment, as fantastic a goal as it was by Barnes, it'll be some effort that beats that for our goal of the season this year. And hopefully it's probably the 10th best goal we have this season, because that means there's many more to come. But for me, he's better running at a tired defence, giving them 30 minutes in being that impact player for now. And there's something that Magnus said there that I tend to agree with, and this might be quite controversial, but I think we're now in a position where we have options. And I think Eddie will look for horses for courses and look at the opposition and think who's going to be the best formation. And we can rest players. That will include at times Gordon. That will include at times Bruno. That will include at times Isaac. But again, it's not just about putting your best 11 on the pitch. It's putting out a team plus the bench that's going to win you the game. Because if not, then everyone knows on paper what the best 11 is. Gordon wants to play left wing for England. He's nailed it down. So imagine we start saying, right, Gordon, you go on the right wing, do as you're told, which he has to. Barnes, you play on the left. And then he's going to get, from Anthony Gordon's perspective, and again, I'm speaking not on his behalf, with my own opinion, he's going to get a bit disillusioned. He's fought so hard to get in the position where he's now back in the England squad, just to be told to take it for the team, go on the right wing. I think you'll start Gordon, providing Isaac's fit, and I think Miggy will start on the right wing, because he's got the pace and the energy to get back. Because if anyone's watched Fulham this season, they pass the ball about quickly and they go through transitions quickly. And that's something Eddie Howe's mentioned in these press conferences about other teams. And Miggy can get back. Then you can start making the changes where you could switch Gordon to the right wing for the last 20, 30 minutes and bring Barnes on. But for me, Tonali has to start. And as far as I'm concerned, it's Tonali plus two others for the midfield. And again, that's my opinion. And whoever the other two are, whatever formation they are, I'll trust Eddie Howe with it. But for me, Barnes, no, not yet. Willock, not yet. There's no way you should be even considering starting Willock yet. And Tonali definitely needs to start now. He's got some payback to give us, and he's looking ready. Looks like he's got a fistful of dollars ready to give us the money back. So Tonali needs to start.
Al-Walid, if you were Newcastle United manager at Fulham this weekend, what midfield would you play?
Well, I will go for Joelinton, Bruno, and Tonali. If I just want to say something about Barnes, I noticed that he's one of the players. There is a lot of players they do better as substitution, and this has happened usually for two reasons. First one is the rush when you start to play, because at the beginning of the game everybody have this rush, but when you are substitution, it will give you a big head start. And I believe also the second reason is good reading of the match when you are sitting in the bench. I believe Barnes, he's a smart player and he read the opponent very well, so that's why he do better when he do as a second when he become a substitution. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good stuff. George, what would you do this weekend with your team selection?
Gosh, I would find it difficult to leave Tonali out. Surely, his form at the moment for us, but the fact that he didn't just play in 2 internationals. He bossed 2 internationals again in a game which involved 2 of the top teams in the world, not just in Europe. And he was the star man at 24 years of age, and he's ours. He's earned the opportunity to start. After that, I'm happy that what Eddie puts around him, but he would be my first midfielder. With Barnes and Gordon, there's a lot of sense in playing both and allowing them to drift. If they do it right, they could have the defence that we're playing against totally mesmerised. Who's coming next is the sort of thing that would happen, and it's not a bad option to have. But I do agree a little that it seems interesting that in the games that he's played, Barnes has performed better as an impact substitute. But we shouldn't forget that both he and Gordon are 2-footed. One can come in from the left and score with his right, as he showed on Sunday, and the other can come in from the right and score with his left. So I don't think we have anything to worry about, and they could upset the whole thing. After that, I think the rest of the team just about picks itself. I would love to see Willock in a position to start, but I think it's too soon. They've got to nurse him to get him up to real fitness, so we get the best out of him. But if he was fully fit, I would be trying to find a team for Joe Willock, a place for Joe Willock, because he did impact on the game on Sunday very, very, very much. And apart from that, I think after that, the team virtually picks itself for me.
Okay, good stuff. Rob, our designer, is asking a question about the charges against Man City. We'll look at that in depth on Friday, I'm sure, and probably on Sunday with the professionals. Got a long way to go, that case, but we'll look at that. A lot of people asking a few questions about that, and do we think the Premier League will do this and that? We'll keep that for Fridays and for Sundays. And quick one around the table. Hi, Steve. Top show. Question for the lads. Can we finish in the top 4? Asks Darren. Yes, it's still my prediction. Newcastle will finish top 4. Mitch, you?
Don't see why not. We can only get better. We're picking points up.
George?
Yes, I'm still optimistic enough to see top 4. And as I've told you, I've painted the bloody rattle, so something's got to happen. And I've got a new shirt as well, so on my way to Wembley.
Magnus, Newcastle have finished top 4?
Yes, we are definitely going to stay in the top. I say still 4th, and can I just mention one thing very quickly? Good things happening here in Iceland. We've made our logo, and we've started our own podcast over here. Everybody's welcome. If you find yourself in Iceland, please give us a shout, and we are here. There's a new homepage, nufc.is, and we're going to be coming over there pretty soon and make some noise. And who knows? Maybe we bring a drum and we can get St. James's Park to do the thunderbloods. Who knows? With your help, guys, maybe we can do one massive, because I've only ever seen it with 9,000 people. But to see it with 50,000 people would be just amazing. I just thought I'd throw the idea out there.
Well done, that man. We'll look forward to seeing you. Should be good. Top 4, Stu?
Yeah. Had we made the additions that we should have done, you all know I had a £400 betting us to finish in the top 4. So the obvious answer is yes. But I think if Lady Luck smiles on us on the injury front, I think we can finish 3rd.
Alvalid, top 4?
Yes, I believe we can do that. We couldn't do it last year because we have the Champions League and we didn't have that numbers of players. So we didn't have Europe this season. So I think we get experience enough to take a place from the top 4.
Great stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on X, please jump over onto YouTube and subscribe to NUFC Matters. And those of you who watched the Blake 7 podcast, The Word on Blake 7, we've now set up our own channel. So The Word on Blake 7 has got its own YouTube channel. Just search that and you can subscribe to it. And the latest edition of that program is up on there. I'm back tomorrow, slightly earlier time of 5:30 Just with Gibbo, I do believe, although I haven't had 100% confirmation yet, that Malcolm's got a hospital appointment. Hopefully, he's going to get his back sorted out sooner rather than later. He was in absolute agony last week. That's why he didn't do the show. I haven't heard from him. I haven't wanted to bother him. Gibbo seems to think he could be going into hospital. We'll get an update from John tomorrow. But yeah, 5:30, slightly earlier start tomorrow night with Superman and Gibbo, and then back with the Amigos on Friday at 5 o'clock. But for now, thanks to Owley, Stu, Magnus, George, Mitch, and thanks to you. See you all tomorrow night. Take care.
Hey, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you.
everyone.
Everybody.